Thank you. Good evening. Good evening. Oh,
Look at that. He's broken that
fans.
barrier.
Okay, some of you guys looks different with the new T-shirts, right? Okay, so my name is Kosala, and I'm coming from Sri Lanka. So I'm into iOS development well over a decade now, and also I'm into 3D content creations as well. Also doing some cloud architectures stuff as well. So today's I'm going to talk about bringing 3D content uh, into the iOS applications. So I'm going to, in the first sessions, I'm going to talk about how to prepare our 3D assets. And the second part, I'm going to talk about how to bring in those content into the iOS applications. Okay, so preparing 3D assets is a big deal for the developers. So yesterday talks also, Jen speak about sort of things like how you can create 3D things. So if you have tried out it, it's not quite easy, right? So maybe you can try to create sort of a simple house like that, but it's not really easy. So let's talk about what are the barriers as a developers we intended to face when it's come to the 3D, right? First thing is like you need to have a sort of like high scales, right? So is there anyone who coming from design backgrounds? Anyone? Oh, guys, come on. All right, couple of. All right, couple of. All right. So it's a different scales, different set of scales, and also it's a very time-consuming process, right? So you need to tweak a little bit. You need to change a lot of stuff. It will take a lot of times, and also sometimes it's a hardware limitations also, right? Especially if you're exporting something and rendering stuff, and the software is not free at all. Sort of software is not free at all. So, and you may also need to know a lot of things when it's come to the 3D, right? So you need to understand what are the geometrical things, what are the mesh stuff, and texture mapping, and a lot of things, right? Sometimes the physics as well, right? We all know we did all those, like the physics kind of a stuff in high school, but as soon as we find out a job, we forget all those, right? Right, most of us. All right, so, but I'm not going to talk about all those fundamental concepts, but there are some sort of things you really need to understand in order to bring the 3D content into the iOS application, right? Or maybe the AR applications. So the first thing is the fundamental blocks. That's yesterday you might have heard some of these words from the James presentation. So vertices, polygons, lines, mesh, and stuff like that. And also things like UV mapping, and also materials specifically, and the lightings, and also the file formats are different. We all know .swift file, right? But here we use sometimes OBJ, FBX, and use USDC as well. And also you need to learn sort of tools, right? The separate tool sets. And there are different ways to create the 3D object. One is also you can ask some of your friends to create the 3D content using 3D software like Blender, 3D Max, or Maya. And also you can download it. You can purchase it from the internet. If it is fit onto your requirement, you can download it. But also you have to face some sort of issues I'm going to talk about in a bit. And Apple brings a couple of technology that I'm going to specifically focus in here, the photogrammetry. But photogrammetry has a sort of limitations, specifically when it comes to the materials like glasses and the metals like reflective materials. Right? So that's why there's another concept called NERF, neural radiance fields. So you can try it out as well. Right? And also, in 2025, everything is something come up with AI. There's a lot of AI models as well. So you can give a prompt and create your own 3D as well. Right? So in here, Apple gives you a sort of a tool set because Apple really wanted to create, like the developers to try 3D stuff, specifically for the Vision OS applications and also the AR. Because with the Visions, Apple are really pushing the developers. Also, there are a lot of Apple technology evangelists also here. So they know like you have a lot of developer centers around the world. They are uh, creating like a lot of events for the specifically Vision OS, right? So they introduced photogrammetry API. So using photogrammetry, you can have like two different ways to create a 3D content. One is basically you can capture set of photos around the object, right? Instead of going through the complex 3D software, you can capture photos, right? And you can put it into the photogrammetry API with Apple Silicon Power. You can convert it easily into the 3D model, right? So here, in the this, I create a simple coordinate strip for the photogrammetry session. So you can find out the photos input folder. So you have to put at least minimum 30, 40 photos, right? So then, so I capture is there anyone who support Thanos? Right, there are a couple of people. Wow. Right, so I have like Thanos models in my home. So I capture the 30 photos of this one, and I able to create this 3D using this one, right? So using the photogrammetry, I able to convert these photos into the 3D object. It's quite simple, right? Only thing is you need to capture all around the object. But more you get the photos, you will get more detailed object, right? So it's quite easy. But the thing is you need to get a, like here I just put there's no any additional lightings or anything. I capture this photo around somewhere around like 6 p.m. with like simple light, the room lighting. But if you have like good lighting conditions and also like proper devices like a round table or something, you will get a more detailed 3D object. Oops, lost the connection. Hold on. Right. Okay. So to do these things, you need to use a M series chip with a Mac OS application. But after iOS 17, they introduced another API called object capturing. Right? In object capture API, you can use object capture sessions. It's also the photogrammetry API, but enhanced version which is run on iOS. Right? You can capture something using the LiDAR sensor, and also you can directly get the 3D model, the USDC version. But you need to be aware not to scan the something like metal kind of a things, right? So with that, I scan very simple stuff like this. So this is the scanned object, and this is the other side is my real object, right? So you can capture something like that and export into these things. But even though if you're familiar with the 3D softwares, you can also enhance it later with your tools. So sometimes it's not really perfect, so you need to spend a little bit more time on that one, but you can get that. But, right, let's say if you download something from the internet, right, most of the time we do, right, is download the 3D object from the internet. Or maybe you ask your friends who has a 3D skills to develop things. So they are sending the 3D files, maybe FBX or maybe OBJ file. When you put it into the reality converter in order to convert into the USDC, you will see something like this, right? And also if you have like evil friends, sometimes they are not sending this. If you are opening the download folder, along with the model, you will see this kind of files. You might be wondering what the heck is this? So there's like a blue color something, there might be like little couple of different images. These things we call textures, right? So what we really need to do this is, right, because in different softwares use different kind of a shading. Because the materials has a different kind of a characteristic. all we have to do is we need to bake it into the images. That's the thing we call texture baking. Right? So you need to bake the textures into the different format. So here I use Blender. So it's used different kind of a material set. And Reality Composer Pro, they use Material X. Right? So if you have like the Material X, you can directly use that into the with your 3D object. So if you fix that, you will be able to get this one. Also, all the light shading and everything comes with the base colors, and the Reality Composer and the Reality Converter use the base color, metallic, and also the normal maps. So normal maps should be there. So then you can see what are the highlights and the shadows come from the application. Right? So that's how you can create a 3D object. And also, there are a couple of misconceptions when you're downloading or when you're creating 3D object. The main thing is the axis and the perspective. Because a lot of 3D softwares use C-axis in the vertical directions, but the Reality Composer and the Apple tools, they use the Y-axis as a vertical. So when you're exporting or when you're tweaking your 3D object, so you need to change the axis, and also you need to embed the material. So when you're exporting something to the FBX, so all you need to do is you need to set the which axis you are forwarding. Because that's really important. Otherwise, when you are putting something on the iOS application or the AR application, it might look weird, or it might place in a different coordination system. So also when you grab something, when you download something from the internet and convert it into the USDC, you have to be careful about the axis. And also the origin point. Because origin point sense, sometimes when they create a 3D object, they place the object different from the center locations of your canvas. So when you import that one, and when you put into the iOS application or maybe the AR application, you put the 000 locations, but it will be rendered in somewhere else. Right? That because of that. All right, so you might understand what are the importance of having the textures now, and also the materials. It's very important, having the materials. Am I talking fast? Okay, you guys are like really, really into something. Okay, really silent. Why? Okay, so everyone listening very carefully. Okay, really good. Happy to hear that. Okay, all right. I know it's not really into the programming kind of things, but don't worry, we are moving to that. All right. So you need to find the textures, the best fitted textures into your requirement. Right? And also you need to get the right format. If you can download the USDC, also try to download it, right? So if your designer is supposed to send the USDC, so as long as you are able to get that one, try to get the USDC. Otherwise, you have to face the difficulties. But if you are an indie developer, so then you have to do yourself. So is there any indie developers here? Right? Only one. So all others sent by their companies. No, no any indie developers. All right, okay, all right. Few, all right, okay, okay. Right, so if you are an indie developer, so you wanted to give a additional perspective, additional dimension to your iOS applications, you can try this one. All right, so then you need to convert. Okay, these are the steps. The first, you need to find the 3D models. Either you need to create it, or you need to ask your friend to create it, right? Or you can do it via photogrammetry. Then you have to embed the textures and the materials, and then convert it to the USDC, and then find the scene kit or reality kit. So in here, I'm going to talk about reality kit, because scene kits, it's a little bit older, like everybody's know it, I guess. And reality kit is the newest framework. It's only work with iOS 18. But eventually, it will help you to bring more AR stuff and more 3D content into the iOS applications. And, right? Okay, so use these things really wisely, because if you wanted to, your application supposed support in the older versions, backward compatibility, then you need to stick to the scene kit. If you wanted to do more AR stuff and more Swift UI way, then you can use the reality kit. Right? So here the difference in between the reality kit and the scene kit. So reality kit has like a lot of AR stuff because the AR kit, if you wanted to use the AR kit, you need to use UI window representable and wrap it up and use it in the old way. But if you use the reality kit, it's directly support to the Swift UI. Right? You don't need any wrappers or anything. But the only drawback is still, it's only use iOS 18. It's especially like it came with the Vision OS, and with iOS 18, it supports to the iOS and the macOS as well. Right. So you might remember something yesterday, Jen demonstrate somewhere around the entities and stuff. So you can simply create the 3D content without jump into the Reality Composer Pro using the code blocks, right? So you can create a simple box and also the custom sphere or the plane. All the entities support, all the ARKit entities also support in the reality view. And also you can get the textures as well, custom textures. Let's say if you have applications, you want to dynamically change the textures. Let's say you have a sort of a, as I show you here, sort of a sofa set or the furniture. You need to change the material dynamically through the applications. So then you can call these textures and change through the application, right? Instead of creating different textures in Reality Composer, right? If you change it, so here I just create a simple box and add the material through the reality view, right? Also, you can create the materials. We have three material types. One is the simple material, and the ULIT material, and the PBR. I guess some of you might have heard about these things, right? Especially if you work in the AR things, right? Is there anyone who worked AR application before? All right, few of them. All right, great. Great to see you guys. Right, so you can, so most widely used one is the PBR. So because we can change a lot of properties of the material, like roughness, metal conditions, and the base colors, stuff like that. There are so many properties you can play around, right? So that's basically material. But if you have like very simple object, like the box or like the simple sphere, so then you can use the simple material or the ULIT material. And the other thing is, instead of wrapping all the USDCs around with the UI view representable, you can use reality view with a simple model entity, right? Also, it supports async, and also it's supposed to load in the remote USDC as well. So in this case, I use a local embedded object, but also you can use the remote resource as well. So you can load the models like this, very simple. And the positions, every time these things works in the meter scale. So you need to scale down a little bit, also the positions as well. Right? And also, if you wanted to do allow your customer, allow your user to change the scale and the rotation and stuff like that. So there's no need to use a whole lot of code blocks to add the gesture controlling. There's one simple gesture control called reality view camera control. You can set it up different controller options like orbit and the panning and options like that. If you do like that, it will look like this in your iOS application. So I didn't use Jane's the simple 2D Apple. I download something. And you can use like this. Also, if you wanted to use sort of a particles, Obviously, you can create and tweak it from the reality converter, but as a programmer, sometimes you need to have more control over the like the 3D software. Then you can create your particle in your own way. You can set up the emitters, and there are physics parameters like emitter, winding shapes, and all those stuff, the positions. And also you can connect these emitters, and also you can connect the emitters into the entity to set the local and the global positions. So yesterday Jane explained that one. So how your particles work with the local and the global position. So you can do it very easily from the particle system using this reality kit, right? So if you look, so this is all in iOS applications, right? Also you can use the gestures. So unfortunately, the reality kit comes with the spatial gesture, but it's not working in iOS yet, right? Spatial gesture only work in the, if your application port into the Vision OS, but if you're using the iOS, this will not work. It only work with the touch gestures and other stuff. If you wanted to port your application into the AR world, so then you have to use things called spatial gesture, right? And also, if you wanted to bring these things into the AR without doing a lot more changes, right? You can put this into the AR world by setting up the camera control. So all you have to do is, you need to set up the spatial tracking and the model positioning. Then it will be automatically comes with the AR. So also you need to set the permissions, the camera, and then it will be come to the AR world. All right. I went a little fast. Okay. So that's all I wanted to explain in the 3D stuff. So first, let's quickly recap it. So first, you need to create the 3D object, either using photogrammetry or either using object capturing API. Or then you need to reshape it through the 3D software, right? And also you need to map the textures and find the right textures and embed it into the object. Then you need to export it and convert it to the USDC. Also, then you need to use either scene kit or the reality kit. So make sure to use the reality kit or scene kit depending on your workflow and depending on your application criteria, because it's really, you need to focus on that one, because backward compatibility is the key. Then you have to stick to the scene kit. If you wanted to go for a newest Swift UI stuff, then you can obviously use the reality view. Yeah, still there's sort of limitations, the performance-wise, and also the things like hand tracking. It's not available because Vision OS Reality Kit has hand tracking options, but in iOS versions it doesn't come with the hand tracking. But a lot of AR features are available. You can try it out. And before I conclude my sessions, just wanted to know like how many all are attending for the first time here. Oh, that's a lot. All right. Okay. So this is my 10th year. I've been attending all the years here. So it's really glad to be in here. And I guess keeping a conference for 10 years is not an easy task. So I should thank Soup and the team. So give them a big round of applause. Right? And so if you are planning to keep it up your iOS journey, so make sure not to miss any future conference as well. So I got a small video. I create small things throughout the 10 years. So I met a lot of people, a lot of beautiful people. Most of them are from the after party as well. You can see how people change over the time. Some of them are a little blurred. This is way back. All right, thank you so much. If you have any questions,
Amazing.
if you have any questions, so feel free to ask from me. So you can find out me at the after party. Thank you.